Welcome back. We're almost there. We've built all the content pages for our site, and in this section, we'll be creating the most important page of all, the home page. 9 times out of 10, this will be the first thing people see when interacting with your site, so we want to create something extra special. In the next few videos, we're going to be compiling everything we've learned in the course to create an amazing homepage experience with simple, clear messaging, high-res images, some custom icons, and a full screen layout that will impress your visitors right off the bat. So let's get ready and jump in and get this homepage going. Welcome back. In this quick video, we're going to get our homepage set up to be a full-width page, including a new adapted full-width menu bar at the top and an amazing full-screen banner image. Let's get started. Now in the resources folder, you'll see a new homepage header template. You can feel free to import that. I'm actually going to import the original header and show you how I adjusted it to be a full-width header. So let's go over to Templates, hit Import, choose File, and we'll import our original template. Move Rest Repeat Header. Let's import that now. And now you'll see it here at the top. Now to avoid confusion, let's click Edit and change the name of this. We'll call it Homepage Header. Click Update, and now click Edit with Elementor. Now here's our original header. We're going to want to go in and update this image to be our logo. Insert Media. Great. Now you'll see that this is boxed in like the rest of our site. The home page is a full-width site, and we'd like the header to be full-width as well. Doing that is real easy. Let's go up here to the section settings, and instead of boxed, let's change it to full-width. There we go. Looks pretty great. The only other thing I see here is that this contact button is a little close to the edge. So let's take this right column and add a little bit of right padding to it. We'll unlink our padding, and we'll add 20 pixels of right padding. Maybe 25. That way, we have about the same amount of white space on either side of our menu. And that's it. Let's click Update, and then close out of here, back to the dashboard. We'll go back to Pages, open up our home page, and before we get started with Elementor, we'll scroll down here to the page options. Now every page has these, and we've kind of ignored them because most of our settings are in Elementor. But we can go down here on an individual page and change a header, a footer, or some other settings. Let's go to Header Templates. Let's turn off Use Legacy Header. And now we can click a Homepage Header to add it to our site. Let's click Update. And now let's click Edit with Elementor. All right, now here's our home page with our new full-width header. To get started on our full-width banner, let's go to our Templates, My Templates, and import our page banner. Click Yes. And here's our template for our page banner. Now on the home page, as I showed you in the demo, we're going to make this full screen. So let's get started making some adjustments to this. We'll start at the top at the section settings, and we'll change the content width to full width. Now, we'll change the min height to 100 viewport heights, meaning fill the screen on any device. We'll change the column position to stretch, which will stretch the columns to fill the top to bottom of this area. And let's check and make sure we have no padding or margin. Okay, great. Let's move on and change out this background image. Again, all the images for this page are in the Resources folder. Let's go to Style, click the image, and I'm going to go ahead and upload all of the images for the home page. All right, we'll use this image for the homepage banner. click Insert Media, and there it is. Let's make sure this is positioned properly by choosing Bottom Center. That way, this person will always be in the picture no matter which screen we're on. Now, this text looks a little close to the edge of the page, and to fix this, we're actually going to add another column in here. So let's right-click and hit Add New Column. Now let's swap those columns and change this one to only be 10% of the width. Now let's go to this column and make sure the vertical alignment is set to middle. And make sure there's no padding or margin here either. Okay, now let's fill out our content. So on our home page, we want this to say Move, and then we'll duplicate it. Rest, duplicate it again, and repeat. Great. That looks pretty cool. Let's actually add a little bit of padding to the left side of these to make it fit a little better on the screen in relation to the image. So we'll come up here, unlink the padding, and add 25 pixels of left. We'll do the same to the other two. And that's looking great. Now let's add a subheader in here, another heading, under Repeat. And here we'll type Live Life to the Fullest. Let's adjust the typography here as well. We'll change the text color to white. And let's change the size to 42. All right, let's add a little bit of left padding here to make this line up with Move, Rest, Repeat. For this, we'll do 32 pixels of left padding. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go back up here to our column settings, go to Layout, and let's change the widget space to 0. That'll help us compress this text a little bit. Now here, we accidentally put 25 pixels of padding around the entire word. Let's fix that. So we'll change the top right and bottom back to 0. And there we go! An awesome full-screen banner image to welcome visitors to the site. In the next video, we'll get to work on our first content section, where we'll introduce our visitors to our company in a clear and concise way. See you then! Welcome back! In this video, we'll be creating our very first homepage content section and customizing our default section to spread across the whole screen. Let's get started. We'll hit Update first to save the changes we made in the last video, and then we'll scroll down and click this folder to open our templates. Let's add our two-column section. Click Yes, and let's get started. Now to make this section a full-width section, let's go up here, click Edit Section, and change this from boxed to full width. All right, now we can see we've got some padding here, I think, so let's go over to Advanced, and let's clear out the padding as well. So now we have a full width content section that stretches from side to side with no margin or padding. Let's adjust these columns and make each of them 50% wide. And now let's add some padding here to help this text display better. So our padding for this section on the home page will be 200 on the top, 100 on the right, 200 on the bottom, and 100 on the left. Now that looks good. Our text is nice and clean right in the middle of this section. Now let's adjust our text and change this to say, "It's really that simple." Now in the resources, I have the copy for this paragraph, so we'll paste it in here. All right, now let's add a button underneath our text. And we'll link this section to About. Now to link, we'll click this dynamic tags, click Pages URL, and find our About page. Alright, and now we have our button linked. So this left column is looking good. Let's work on this picture over here. Now for a full screen section, we're actually not going to have an image in this section, so let's delete this, and let's set a background image for this column. We'll go to Edit Column, Style, Classic, and let's add an image here. Here's the image for section 1, so we'll click Insert Media, and there we go. Now let's position this to be center so that no matter how big this column is, we'll always see the center of the picture. Now let's set the size to cover so that again, no matter what size the screen is, this entire right 50% column will be filled by our image. Let's double check that there's no margin or padding on this image, which there's not. Alright, that looks great. So remember the padding we set on this left side? That's actually what's helping give this right column the height we need to see more of the image. We'll see this again in another section and it'll make more sense. But that's it for this first section. With a few simple adjustments, we've transformed our regular 2-column template into a full-width homepage section. In the next video, we'll build our second section and learn how to import our own custom icons. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we'll continue working on our homepage by adding our second full-width section and learning how to find and import our own icons. The strategy for this home page is to give a little taste of each of our other pages and then link the visitors to those pages. Our first section links to the About page, and the second section will link to the What We Do page. Let's get started. To begin, let's duplicate this first section so we have a good starting place. We'll right-click on Edit Section, and then click Duplicate. Alright, let's swap these columns to mimic the layout we've used other places on the site. Let's click this left column, go to Style, and change out our background image. For this one, we'll use this picture of someone climbing the steps. Now in this right column, let's do a little bit of setup with margin and padding before we begin working with our icons. So let's right-click, hit Edit Column, make sure that the vertical alignment's set to middle, which it is. Head over to Advanced, clear out the margin, and let's link the padding together and change it to 100 on all sides. You can see there again how the padding on the right column affects the height of the column on the left, since the image there is set as a background image, not its own widget. Now let's delete all of our content in this right column. We can leave our button since we'll use that later. Let's go up here to our widgets, and let's add a new inner section. Now in this section, we'll delete this right column so we only have one column. We'll go over here to the settings and make sure this column is boxed. It is. Go over to Advanced, clear out our margin and padding. And then since it's touching this button, let's actually add 30 pixels of bottom margin. Okay. Now inside this column, let's change the widget space to 5 pixels and adjust some padding as well. We'll unlink these values, and we'll just add right and left padding of 75 pixels to get things set up. Alright, now let's add our custom icons. We do this the same way we added our regular icons, by coming back to our Widgets menu and dragging in the icon widget. We can see here the padding we set in the previous step. Now, instead of picking a new icon from the built-in icons, we're going to upload an SVG. An SVG is a file format that allows us to scale and adjust the colors of a graphic the way we do other elements. This file format's generally used for things like icons and logos. In the Resources folder, you'll find 3 SVG files. We'll upload them one at a time. Let's click Upload SVG, click Enable on the warning, go over to Upload Files. Let's start with the SVG called move.svg. We'll drag it in and click Insert Media. Now we can see how this imported our SVG as an icon. Let's go up here and click Style to change a few things about our icon. We'll set a color based on our icon color, C5, C5, C5. And let's change the size of our icon. Let's say 70. Now let's go over here and add a margin of 10 pixels all the way around our icon. Now, let's add some text under our icon. Again, this text is in the resources, so we'll copy and paste it now. All right, let's go over to Style and center align this text. All right, so now we have a little section with a custom icon and our text. Let's duplicate this section 2 times. Now we'll change out everything in these bottom 2 sections. We'll start here with the SVG for this section, which will be the REST section. Let's click Upload SVG, drag in rest.svg, and click Insert Media. Now we can change out our text by copy and pasting from the resources. And now we'll do the last one quickly. Upload SVG. This one's called Repeat SVG. Insert Media. And we'll copy and paste again. On this section, let's center this button and change it to say what we do. We'll erase the link, go back into our dynamic tags, click Pages URL, and click what we do. Looking great! Let's keep going in the next video and add a section below this that will highlight our newest blog articles and link to the full blog for visitors to read more. See you then! Welcome back! We're working our way through our home page, and in this video, we'll add a third section to our page that highlights our latest posts and links to the full blog. Let's get started. To begin, we're going to duplicate this very first section. We'll right-click and hit Duplicate. Now, an easy way to move things around the page when it's a little hard like this is to come down here and use the navigator. Here we can click and see our different sections. We can also minimize different sections to adjust them easier. So here's our first section, here's our second section, and here's our third section. Let's drag this bottom section up in between the first 2. There we go. I don't use the navigator a lot, but for things like this, it's especially helpful. Let's close out of the navigator and get to work on this section. Now again, we're having a little funny display issue with this divider, so let's click Update and refresh our page. All right, let's scroll back down, and now things are looking correct. Let's start by changing out this image. And remember, this image is a column background, not its own widget. So we'll click Edit Column, come over to Style, and swap out this background image. We'll use this picture. Homepage Section 3. Insert Media. And there we go. Now let's move over to the left section where our content will be and get things set up by deleting this text, adjusting this heading. We'll just say Newest Articles, and changing this button to take us to our blog. We'll center it and fix our link here. Dynamic tags, pages URL, and we'll select our blog. Now let's add the widget that'll show our latest posts. We'll come up here to our widgets, type in Posts, and use the Grid and Carousel Posts widget we've used before. Let's drag it in here under the divider. and start setting things up. Let's go over to the Layout tab. We'll change this to just one column. That looks a lot better. We'll change it to carousel like we did with the other widgets. We'll change our navigation control to arrows. And then we'll come down here to display to adjust what we show on this widget. We'll keep display post media on. We'll preload the image. We'll display the title. We'll display the info. And let's take off the author in the header. Let's turn off the number of comments and the like button. We'll keep the excerpt as is. And the rest of this looks pretty good. Let's go up to the top and over one tab to Content. Here we can adjust which blog posts are shown in the widget. We'll leave this on all categories, but for your blog, you could specify individual categories, a combination of categories, or your featured category. We'll limit it to 3 posts, and that's all for this. Let's go over to Style and change the aspect ratio of this image. For this, we'll actually use a custom aspect ratio. Now we can adjust this to see what a different aspect ratio would look like. For this one, we'll go with 0.5. Alright, this is looking pretty good. And we've got quite a bit of white space here, so let's take a look at the padding on this left column. Let's adjust this to just have 100 pixels on top and bottom. There we go. That looks more balanced. And that's it. In the next video, we'll add our final section to this page before moving on to the responsive design of the home page. See you then. Welcome back. In this quick video, we'll add a final touch to our home page in the form of a full-width section at the bottom that contains an inspirational quote for our visitors. Let's get started. We'll scroll down here to the very bottom of our page, and we'll put in a new section. Just a one-column section. Great. Let's go up here to Style and add a background picture for this section. We'll click Classic, and then Image, and we'll use this image here. Insert Media, and there we go. Now to allow us to see a little bit more of this image, let's go to Advanced, unlink our padding, and add 100 pixels of padding to the top and the bottom. Alright, now I can already tell that it's going to be a little bit hard to read the quote on top of this busy image. So let's go ahead, go back to Style, Background Overlay, and add a black background overlay to this image. There we go. We could probably lighten it up a little bit. Maybe 25%. Great. Okay, let's go back to our widgets and add in some text, just a regular text editor. Now the quote's in the resources, so we'll copy and paste that now. Okay, this is obviously hard to read, so let's change the style. Change the text color to white. And let's actually adjust the typography. Let's make it 22 pixels, so a little bigger, and then we'll go out here and center the text as well. Now let's go back to our widgets. Let's add a divider. We'll make the width of this divider 20%. We'll center the divider. Come over to Style. Make it white. Add a weight of 2.5. And leave the gap at 15. Now let's come up to our widgets again. Add a heading. Come over here. The person who this quote is attributed to is named James Freeman Clark. So we'll center that, head over to Style, and make it white as well. Alright, this doesn't look too bad, but I think it would look better if it was a little more condensed in the center of the image. So let's go to this column, go to Advanced, let's unlink our padding, and add 200 pixels on the right and the left. There we go, that looks better. Now we also want to center this divider a little bit better too. Now the reason there's some extra space here under this text is because of the line height of the font. But an easy way to fix that is to go in here, go to Advanced, and let's use our negative margin. We'll unlink our margin, and on the bottom, we'll start moving it back. -17 should be good. And that's it. As you can see, once you get the hang of building with Elementor, you can quickly build almost anything you can imagine. In the next video, we'll do our final responsive design session as we take this gorgeous home page and make sure it looks just as good on mobile devices. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to explore responsive design as it pertains to full-width pages. As usual, we'll take things one section at a time, looking at both tablet and mobile screen sizes. So let's jump in here with our full screen banner image. We'll go down to our responsive mode and go to tablet. Now this doesn't look too bad, but I think on tablet we can go ahead and hide this tiny column on the left. Let's right click, hit Edit Column, make sure we're on Advanced, go to Responsive, and we'll hide that on tablet and on mobile. So now our entire screen will be just this right column. Now this looks pretty good, but I think we could remove the padding to the left of these text boxes to help this text fit a little better against this left edge. So let's go up to Text, and let's just clear out the padding. We'll do that with all three of these. Now because we're using different fonts, let's actually add a little bit of left padding to this H2 to make it line up perfectly. 4 pixels looks good. Let's go to this column as well, and maybe add a little bit of top and bottom padding just to give it a little bit more space. We'll add 25 on the top and 25 on the bottom. All right, that looks pretty good. Now let's go back to our responsive mode and see how this looks on mobile. All right, not bad. Let's go ahead and add some padding again to this column. We'll add 20 top and 20 bottom. And let's change the size of this header 2 text here. We'll go to Style, Typography, and let's change this to something like 18. That fits a lot better. All right, let's go back out to tablet just to double check. And back out to desktop. All right, let's click Update to save that and move on to our second section. All right, let's go back to our tablet view. This looks pretty good. We're hiding this image here though, and I think on tablet we could actually display this. Let's go to Advanced and Responsive, and let's unhide that on tablet. Now it looks like this is trying to still display a boxed column instead of a full screen column. So let's go up to our section and double check. We have a full width content width. Let's check our wet margin and padding. Yeah, we've got some padding here. Let's clear that out by changing it to 0. Okay. Now let's go back and make this column 50% instead of 100%. All right, and now this left column, let's add some padding back into just it. We'll go back to Advanced, link our padding, and add 35 pixels back in. Now I like the way on our desktop site that this is left aligned, so let's go in and change that on tablet view. We'll change the alignment of each of these elements. And there we go. Looking pretty good. Let's go to responsive mode and change to mobile. All right, Now on mobile, we've got quite a bit of white space here. So we're hiding our image, which is good. But I think what we could do here is get rid of the padding we added on the tablet view. So let's go ahead and unlink this to let that fill up the space again. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go back out to tablet to double check. Okay, and back out to desktop. All right, looking good. Let's keep moving on with section 2 here with our custom icons. Let's go to tablet and see what it looks like. All right, let's unhide this column by coming to responsive and unhide that on tablet. Let's double check the width of this. Under layout, we'll make it 50%. Let's go to our section and remove any padding we have here for now by changing all of these to 0. And now let's figure out what's going on with this column here. For this we may need the navigator. We'll open up our navigator and we'll try and find our section here. Okay, so here's a column inside our intersection, and here's the column that contains our intersection. Sometimes it can be hard to click these when they're right on top of each other. So let's go to this column, making sure it's the major column, and instead of 100, we'll change it to 50%. All right, that looks great. Let's go over to Advanced and adjust the padding here. And let's change our padding to 25 on the top and 25 on the bottom. All right, that's looking pretty good on tablet. Now let's go to our mobile view. Click Mobile. And now since we're hiding this image up here, let's unhide the image for this section on mobile. We'll come over to Responsive and unhide this. Now let's go back into our section here and remove our padding to make this look full width on mobile as well. Now it would be great to see more of this picture, but as we remember, the height of this is kind of related to the height of this column. Thankfully, there's a way around it. Let's go over to our widgets, and let's add a spacer widget inside this image, and set it to 250 pixels. Now we can see this image and the section below it. Great. Go back out to tablet to double check. Looks good. And back out to desktop. All right, let's keep moving and head to our third section. Let's update first to save our changes. And now go to tablet view. Now we'll make the same adjustments here by removing the padding from this section. Change this to 0. We'll take this column and we'll make it 50% wide. And we'll unhide our image here. Advanced, Responsive, and we'll unhide it on tablet. Let's go to our left column and add some padding here. All the way around, we'll add 35 pixels. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's check the size of this header text just to see where we're at. Let's make it 30 pixels. I think we brought it down a little bit there, which looks pretty good. All right, now let's head to mobile. And do the same thing. We'll remove the padding here by changing this to 0. And let's actually add this image back in. We'll edit the column, Advanced, Responsive, and bring it back on mobile. Now the same thing's happening here, so let's go up to our widgets and add in a spacer. We'll give it a height of 250 pixels. And now I think it would be really great if the picture showed up on top of this column in between these two sections instead of below. Now we can do this easily in Elementor by going up here to edit our section as a whole, hitting responsive, and saying to reverse the columns on mobile. And there's our picture on the top. Okay, this is looking great. I have to do some work here on our quote section, so let's go back out first and start at desktop. Let's scroll down, take a look at it, click Update, and now let's move to tablet. I think the simplest thing to do here is lower the padding on this inner column. So let's go ahead and unlink it, and let's add back in 100 on the right and the left. Okay, that looks good. Now let's go to mobile. And let's adjust that again. We'll reset it, and let's just add 25 pixels on the right and the left. Now the final thing we can do here is come back up to our section, change the positioning of our background image. Let's say center right. That looks pretty cool, kind of a different background on mobile. We'll leave it like that. All right, I think we're done. Let's go back out to tablet to take a look. And make sure each section is looking the way we'd like it to. All right, and back out to desktop. We'll just triple check everything here. Yep. Looking good. And that's it. We now have a complete website built by you in WordPress. But we're not done yet. In the next section, we're going to take just a little bit of time to add some final touches to our site and really make it shine. We'll be fixing some small details as well as learning about one final amazing feature of Elementor, animations. So take a break, and I'll meet you back here soon to wrap up the design of our site. See you then.